All right. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8 of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I am your host, John Njoga. I am joined by Collins Mugodo, Walter Ogindo, and Rudy Aguilar. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah, man, I'm feeling good on this Sunday. Obviously, we had that weird surprise podcast, but I just had to get some off my chest, man.
Understandable.
Absolutely
A lot of tension
understandable.
that week. A lot of tension, Definitely, it was just hilarious. Your reaction to just the Clippers. Kawhi, COVID Kawhi, playoff P. This shit is hilarious.
Hopefully, so we can start getting a brand up soon. But it just help. I think the most important thing we just have to focus on is Collins, as you have been telling me, just consistency, man. Just
Exactly.
Here, day, week in, week out, just doing, just talking, throwing stuff up,
Yeah, getting the reps in, man. I think it's so important because the more we do this, the more comfortable we get, and the more it's just gonna help us in the long run.
Right.
Yeah. And I think another thing too is looking. I look like 6,000 years into the future. Just like I just have, I'm a dreamer. I just have this idea of like where things could go. I mean, obviously,
Dude, John thinks he's gonna live for 6,000 years, man. Okay, then what were you saying? Sorry.
and I just have an idea of where this thing can go. But obviously things are not always going to go the way you plan, so it's always good to developing a plan A, B, C, or D. But we'll we could kind of get into that, like developing a plan B, C, or D. Because I'm good at you could have a plan A, but plan B is like, oh damn, that's what my brain's like.
And it's not even sometimes it's not even about developing the plan. Sometimes it's having a plan initially and then being flexible and understanding that the goal is the most important thing. How you get there is how you get there. At the end of the day, we have to have like the flexibility to change with the movement of time, whatever obstacles get thrown in our way.
And I'm glad you brought up that change, because that's one of the hardest things to do on earth. It's just like, I'm saying, from a logical standpoint, it seems easy until you actually have to get into the motion of doing it. That's why procrastination comes in, because it's like, man, like I got to do this. Because I knew like when like writing papers and stuff, even though this might not really have to do with change, but like just getting a task done in order to change, I would say, having to write that paper that, saying, essay, and in your mind it's like, yeah man, just do a page a day. But then when it comes time to do a page a day, you're like, nah, I can do it tomorrow. Then tomorrow comes, it's like, nah, I'll just do the research. You research for 2 minutes, it's like, nah, I mean, I can I have a whole month. And then as time goes by, next thing you know, you're doing a 4-page paper the last day, and you have a morning class, so you have to get that done by 7 a.m.
Exactly, and actually, what you're describing there was described by, I think it's Stephen Pressfield, like a writer called Stephen Pressfield. He wrote a book called The War of Art, right? Where he was talking about, like, if you want to be a professional writer, what you have to do is write. Like, simply sit down and write, and it's such a common. Holy fuck! Sorry, I got distracted for a second because a penalty just got saved, and it's funny. Anyway, so the War of Art is about like just the commitment to every day, the professional, just no matter what's going on, shows up to work like clockwork all the time, every day. Doesn't matter what's happening, whether they're feeling good, whether they're feeling bad. At least the bare minimum is for them to show up every single day. And that's so easy to say, but to actually go ahead and to do it, it's tough.
And what else I want to is how do you fellas feel about complacency and procrastination, because I think that's something that a lot of people say, hey, if you want to go out, if you want to achieve something, you got to go out there and get it. I guess like a lack of planning also goes into that too, but also complacency in order to achieve. Like, let's say we hit the jackpot. You know what I'm saying? This pops off, boom. You know what I'm saying? And, now they offer us a deal of, all right, boom, 2 million. Everybody gets 2 million each.
Yeah,
like a 50 or 500K or something like that, like 100K. You know what I'm saying? That's like I'm saying 10 times more that we're making now, and that sounds great. You know what I'm saying? Compared to where you were.
Yeah.
But it's the end goal, and you could, what I'm saying, I wouldn't say live comfortable. I mean, I guess we'll live comfortably. Like, I'm saying, like, for like 5 years, obviously, like the first thing goes to your mind is, oh yeah, man, I can get these student loans done, boom. And then, I'm saying, for the first year, that's 40,000. You know what I'm saying? I could, still invest. You know what I'm saying? I can live, below my means and stuff like that. And not for everybody, but I know for me, I'll be able to live below my means. And then from there, like, that could be a comfortable spot for some people,
And then they stagnate there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that can happen. I mean, it's literally maintaining that hunger is its own challenge, because you're like, successful people become successful because they're in a situation they don't really want to be in. But then, like, once you've got the thing that you're chasing after, if you stop chasing, the thing that you're fighting against now is, oh, can I still keep myself engaged? Can I still contribute? Can I still, what is it? Like, in past success, what's the next step? It's legacy, right? So, like, the next thing, like, once you are successful by whatever standards that entails, things just don't end there. Like, we see all the time, like, successful people putting a bullet in their head after they're successful, right? Because, we've been sold a myth that doesn't end. Like, eventually you get to the finish line and you can just, drink champagne and live in paradise and everything is good. But that end doesn't exist.
I mean, yeah, so that's what you guys are talking about. Like, it depends on the type of person you are. So, like, complacency can come with being content. So you, like, made the money you want to make and you're good, you can live off that. There's nothing necessarily wrong with being complacent in the situation you're in. I guess it depends on, like, the situation that you're in. So some people, they get to where they want, but they realize, like, yo, along the way there's more, so they don't get complacent. They just go for more. It just depends on everybody else.
Yeah.
And complacency is just basically the opposite of the consistent that John was talking about, consistency. So basically, you have to find small ways to be consistent, to build up on what you want to do, because you're not going to be just consistent every day on the big things if you can't do the small things. So that means, like, waking up every morning early, making your bed, stuff like that.
Exactly. And that's a really, that gets into this whole conversation about, like, habits. The things that you do every single day that you kind of overlook, that most, like if you say, if you fail to do something, say, okay, so what one habit that everybody has is, say, brushing your teeth, right? So people brush their teeth every single morning. If you fail to brush your teeth one morning, right, you can just pick it up the next day, and it's not too, but, like, in the grand scheme of things, like, if you're somebody who routinely forgets to brush your teeth, let's say, then it really becomes an issue. It becomes a part of your character and who you are and how people perceive you. Like, you can really actually cement your whole identity based off of how you, like, the little habits that you have when nobody's looking early in the morning,
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just, I don't know. It depends. Like, you have to find a way to, like, teach it early. Like, these small things add up, and, like, if you can't take out the small thing, there's no way you could go out and achieve with bigger things.
And it's because because I think who is it? It's 50 Cent that talks about it in his book. Like if you want to if you want to change a lifestyle that you have, what you have to do is try out the new lifestyle for a limited time, like say a month, 30 days, right? And learn what you need to learn about what that lifestyle would entail, and then from there you can actually make an educated decision on whether or not you want to continue that lifestyle, or how it fits into who you are, or how you would implement it, if that makes sense. But without that reference experience, it's something that just ends up bouncing around in your head for a very, very long time. It's like, oh, you know what? I should start running more, right? Like whatever your goal is, I should start running more. I should exercise every day. You know what? From now on until the end of time, I'm going to start exercising every single day until the day that I die. And it's daunting.
Yeah, do you think that? Am I go ahead?
Have you guys ever had that experience of trying to set like this goal, and you're motivated the first day, but you haven't really like actually making that lifestyle change permanent is daunting. It's really like it's because you're looking
sometimes you start, then you stop. So it's just like, I don't know, it's like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, exactly.
Yo, nigga, how you think my life's been since 2015?
Yeah. You start, you stop, you start. Mine too, man. And probably since longer than 2015. I've probably been, we've all been on a journey in some way since the day we were born. You know what I mean? In terms of trying to live a good life, whatever that means to you at each stage in your life, right? And it's one of those things that like we're kind of expected to figure a lot of this stuff out on our own because nobody really knows.
I mean, yeah. So like to a certain extent, like everyone is has some sort of complacency in their life. It just depends on like where it's at and at what level it is. So you have to like be able to like acknowledge it and work on it. Like I seen a quote today that said, a wise man knows that he's foolish, but he works on himself every day to correct it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just that's the part of it. So a way to do that is like get with other people and try to reach a goal, or tell other people what you're trying to do, so they can like push you on it and hold you to it. If you have those people in your life.
100%.
So what I'm getting is with procrastination, and we're going to get to procrastination next, and the complacency is one of them is you have to get over in order to get there, because there's a process in order to start the process and in order to get there. And one is needed to be, one is needed to get rid of in order for you to maintain success. Because the world is moving fast. So if you're complacent, then it's like, oh, all right, I can do this. You don't want to be blockbuster and get upholded by Netflix type of situation within your own life. You want to be able to keep up with what's happening, able to adapt. Like Jeff Bezos. He went from a book reading store. He was trapping out the garage, and now he moved to basically being an online Walmart. You can get anything you need shipped to you. He's out here, out hustling the U.S. Postal Service. So it's just crazy. And obviously there's no complacency with that, because he's changed with the times. He's adapted. He's going with the flow. And I think complacency, can kind of hinder your maintenance, if you will, of success. That's how I
Yeah, but I don't think that like what you call it, complacency and failure to adapt are like one and the same. You could fail to adapt because you just don't see the bigger picture.
Yeah, but that is complacency to an extent. I mean, it might not strike you immediately as that, but like, okay, fair enough. So, okay, there is unpredictability in every industry, right? Like all of a sudden, something comes along and it disrupts everything, right? If you find out that the industry has changed and you don't change with it, it's because you're complacent. And if you don't realize that the industry has changed, it's also because you're complacent. Right?
I don't think so, because you could be in an industry that changes a lot, but then some of those changes don't work. So you might be going off past experience, like, oh, I don't think it's gonna work based off when they tried this, it didn't work. Like it's not just as simple as like just someone being complacent.
But then, I mean, eventually, okay. So yeah, when you're thinking about what things will work and won't work hypothetically, yes, you can be right or wrong to varying degrees based off of that, right? But once it's been tried, you didn't think it was going to work. It has worked now. What you do in response to the fact that it has worked is what determines whether you're being complacent or you're adjusting to the times or not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that has to go by then like a case by case basis, not like a broader basis of like failure to adapt automatically equals you were complacent in that situation.
Okay.
Because you have to look at like even like the example John brought up with like Blockbuster, Netflix. We're looking at that from like the outside, like after it's done, not when they were in their situation.
True.
Yeah, but you have to understand, like, if you're the head honcho, I feel like you kind of have a privy to what's happening next within, the next few years.
But see, what's happening next doesn't mean it will always work. We've seen stuff that's been out and new and it didn't work. You know what I mean? Like, for example, when they came up with like that little Game Boy Micro, that shit did not work. But Game Boys was selling the same still. So like, you can't just blame it on like one thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not even necessarily that somebody has to take blame, right, for something not working, right? So, okay, so Blockbuster Video, was stuck in the past. The industry was disrupted, and they couldn't react. There may have been many, many, many factors, right, to do it. But, like, the thing is, Blockbuster Video was in a better place, like, at least, you're right, from the outside looking in, but they were in a better place to adjust than a lot of the other companies that eventually did, right? It took HBO, I mean, maybe HBO, because it was already streaming, it was already, like, engaged in that market, could adjust a lot easier or something, right? And Blockbuster Video was it was stuck in the brick and mortar world, and there was no way that it could convert, it could pivot that quickly. So is that what you're saying, basically?
I mean, kind of. HBO is a little bit different, but when you're looking at like Blockbuster, yeah, because when you see like like streaming now, we see it because we've seen it from the beginning, but like it just became popular over the last like 3-4 years. But Blockbuster had been closed. You know what I mean? The infrastructure for streaming wasn't always there. Mm. So I can see how they saw it and said it's not going to take off at a certain point. Mm. So that's why I don't blame that example on this simple complacency.
Okay. I mean, I just always feel like if you're in an industry, right? And this is where like a lot of the old time companies tend to fail, right? If you're in an industry that changes quite frequently, and movies is one of those industries that changes quite frequently because always new technology, this, that, and the other, right? Before we used to have the big cassettes, and then they went to CDs, and like the way we consume movies and things like that changes. Right, and so the role, right. So that's why I always think like if you're a company that's that big, you have to know at least that this industry is going to be subject to change, right? And
yeah, I don't know. So, but Netflix was one of the first people to have streaming services. Disney Plus, they just came out right now. They're the company they could have done it at any time when Netflix did it, but they came out last year. Like that's my point. Like streaming is an extremely new thing. To sit there and like from hindsight look at Blockbuster and say like a complete failure on complacency. I don't think.
No. I feel like the reason why because they were privy to it, but also at the same time like I don't know. I feel like a
No,
concept.
but listen, they actually won because they had the technology side, but they didn't have. Again, it's about infrastructure. And also, when Blockbuster offered to buy when Netflix offered Blockbuster to buy them, they didn't have any streaming. It was still DVDs. So that's my point, because like they didn't have any stores. So from Blockbuster's perspective, we have all these stores. You don't. Why would we do that deal with you? Because we're still looking from like the outside in. But when they were offered to buy Netflix, there was no streaming. You couldn't go online and like download the movie, watch it on your phone or something like that.
So let me ask you this question: is there a way to like kind of like, I wouldn't say maybe see down the line, but like, imagine like, all right, I'm saying streaming, like maybe years down the line, like, will this really be an effective thing? Or is that just, you just gotta take your L's and, and just eat them? Or is there like, because obviously I'm pretty sure Blockbuster is kind of regretting it, but obviously like you're saying, Walter, they had the streaming services, but DVDs were the big thing. But let's say like, I'm saying we're looking like, into 2030, and there's like a new technology out that's gonna take over streaming or something like that.
So like a better example.
By the time, yeah, and also like let me just get this out, right? Yeah, by the time DVDs were actually out, they weren't really that old. Like by the time like we moved past DVDs, they hadn't been there for that long, really, right? Yeah. It's not like an industry that lasted for 20 years.
It might have been less than 10.
May have been less than 10. You know what I mean? And that's like, but that's like typical. That's normal of that industry to change that way, right? But obviously, when you're talking about the internet and its impact on how we consume movies, is there a way that you could have anticipated that? I think maybe.
Yeah, so like a better example of that would be like a Microsoft and Apple. So like I remember when the iPhone first came out, there was like some event. Steve Ballmer, who was I don't know if he was the president of Apple or the vice president at the time, but they asked him about like, what do you think about it? And he was like, nobody's gonna buy this. It don't have a keyboard and all this. Not for business people. All this other stuff. And then Windows didn't make their first phone until like 2014 or 20 whatever it was, and people still don't buy Windows phones. So that's like a mistake you could say there. Like they definitely could have known how to do it, because right after Apple did it, Google went and did it too. Samsung went and copied them too, but Microsoft for some reason they did it. So that's a better example of complacency.
No, they definitely didn't. I definitely had a Microsoft phone.
Well, no, but so like, were they any good? Did you like your phone?
It was alright. That's all I got to say.
So like, do you have one? Do you have one now?
No, I have a Samsung, but I did have a Windows phone. Walter knew that small. A rectangle.
But that right there, Microsoft being one of the biggest companies in the world, technological companies in the world, and for most people not to have a Microsoft phone, it's kind of outrageous.
Well, no, that's not even the part. The part is like they didn't have the apps for the phone because they didn't have the developers. But like, how do you not figure this out? Because you're Microsoft, you were supposed to figure this out.
They're supposed to be the biggest one of the biggest in the industry, in the world. I mean, they have like their own gaming console. They have obviously computers. They should be front and center of this. And that's actually just exactly the same point that I'm trying to make about Blockbuster Video, right?
But I don't think it's the same.
Well, this is how I see them as the same. The fact that Blockbuster Video occupied the space that it did occupy once upon a time, right? In the movie game, for them not to see that things were shifting, I think it's a little bit. I don't know. I think if you were paying attention, you would. It's something that you would be able to notice.
Yeah, this is how I'm going to put it. Like, at least here's the good thing about what we're doing now and how we're starting now. Like, this is the same way I think of it. Like with One Piece, like obviously, like I wish I was there for the beginning, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I can stream all of it. I can watch it all at once, And this is something the companies, you have all this information, all this data of how people screwed up. So you can kind of keep tabs and kind of learn from their mistakes that they did, because right now you should always be, like I brought before in our earlier podcast with like cybersecurity, continuous monitoring. Right? My dad also brings this up. Like technology is always moving, something always happening, something new is always changing. Like there's always a change every like maybe 2 to 5 years. There's a big change or something like that. So now we can learn from Blockbuster. Like, hey, even if you're the big dog on top, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a race. It's kind of you gotta think of it like competing in sports. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Once you get to the height of like Jordan or LeBron James, everybody's trying to take that spot.
Exactly. Exactly. And you know what? There's one company that I'm kind of looking at. Well, it's not really a company, but YouTube. Obviously, the company is Google, right? But YouTube, right? Mm-hmm. Right now, they're still the top dogs when it comes to like people watching videos online. But just about. They don't have as much of a command of the market share than they used to. Remember once upon a time, if you wanted to watch videos on the internet, you go on YouTube and nothing else, right?
Yeah.
That's almost starting to slip a little bit. Like, are you guys noticing? Like, because
I don't think so. It's starting to slip. It's just that it's more like content creator driven instead of like maybe like celeb. Because even if you look now, a lot of celebrities are going to YouTube. That's not on purpose. There's a business model there. They can succeed and go directly to their fans. But it's not like there's more options out there. So more people might watch YouTube, they might watch Netflix.
That's what I'm saying.
So you can't like watch like movies on TV on like YouTube per se without paying for it. But the people usually just watch their own like content creators, whether it's sports, finance, beauty, makeup.
But like for example, right now Instagram has a feature called IGTV, right?
Yeah.
Now, if they figure IGTV out to a point where content creators just feel much more comfortable just living on Instagram, because that could happen. It could happen that.
The only thing is, though, you get paid directly from YouTube on top of any of what you ads you can get from outside. On Instagram, there's no like 100% direct payment from Instagram yet.
Yeah. Yes, yeah. I mean, we were just saying things always change, right? Technology. The fact that like Instagram has introduced all of these different features, like Instagram now has like that thing Reels, which is kind of like it's almost a competitor for TikTok. You know the thing I'm talking about? Reels? Yeah, they have IGTV, they have stories, all these different things. Stories is more of a thing that they got really, like, I think it's an idea really from Snapchat kind of thing, right?
Yeah, but the only thing is, you're looking at it from a technology side. Even in that technology side, I think Instagram will lose because Facebook is not a more innovative company than like Google. Google works on a whole bunch of other stuff, so they could always, especially with AI, Facebook don't have the AI that Google has, and also on the business side, the ad revenue that Google brings in is better than Facebook's anyway. So like, I don't think there's other company like online that brings more ad revenue than Google. Like that's their business model, just get ads. So I don't think like more people will flock to Instagram over YouTube.
Ad revenue. I mean, people definitely go on Instagram to market their stuff way more, right?
But when you're talking about like creating content, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
creating content.
Yeah,
but I just have a feeling that the game could change quite easily because the game has already changed because of a lot of moves that Instagram has made. YouTube hasn't really.
The game always changes. To be honest, the game always changes.
Yeah, like I'll give you an example, right? So Instagram obviously has the feature Instagram Live, right? And YouTube has has a similar thing where you can go live on YouTube and like all of the people that are subscribed to you can see you. They can actually even like donate to you and things like that. Like that feature doesn't seem like something that's impossible for Instagram to implement, right? Where you can go live on Instagram and then people can just donate to you if they like super chats, they call them on YouTube, right? Okay. So like little things like this, like these little tweaks could cause people to just all of a sudden go one way instead of the other.
But people don't go to Instagram to watch videos. People don't go to Instagram to like watch videos like that.
Yet, that's what I'm saying. Like, because a lot of, like, I'm already seeing so many content creators frustrated with YouTube because of the level of censorship that YouTube has, right?
Well, they're going to have the same problem with Instagram because Facebook is owned by Instagram. They have censorship too. like, like I'm saying, like Facebook has probably like the same level of censorship that YouTube would have too. So like, I don't think that people will flock from there to there.
But let me break this up to you guys. Do you think Patreon will get a big boost? Because I know there are a lot of content creators that have Patreon, but who have a big following. Even me, like, you ever feel like have that feeling like, yo, man, like I might have to think about, you know what I'm saying, the Patreon, because the content that I really want, they really can't give it to me on here.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned Patreon, because I'm actually even looking at like, you're going to laugh at this, right? Because of the branding it currently has. But a lot of people that aren't selling nudes are also going on OnlyFans.
Yeah. No, so
right?
OnlyFans was like, it wasn't created for like the purpose like people know it for now, but like they just went on there and did that, and they changed the whole brand. But it's for just any type of content creator.
Any type of content creator. And Patreon is doing pretty much like I guess a similar thing, right? So it just I think it also is that like, would you say OnlyFans is Patreon's biggest competitor?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, you know what I'm saying, because I guess for like regular content creators, I know a lot of them are mainly going to Patreon because, like, bro, imagine it's like, yo, all right, man, subscribe to my OnlyFans. Like, what's the first thing gonna come to your mind?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, the branding of it. It really is. But you are absolutely right. It's like, what do you have an OnlyFans for?
I mean, I don't know if like Patreon is like a direct competitor of them. I mean, they do the same thing, but I don't know if they're 100% like a direct competitor of them.
Yeah, I guess.
Because I feel like OnlyFans is going to get like the people that, like, you know what I'm saying, obviously the people that they get now. But I feel like since Patreon doesn't have that stigma to it, they're going to get a whole variety. Yeah,
like actual content creators that want to be viewed as content creators and nothing else go on Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like the Patreon and the OnlyFans is like a way to go around that censorship you were talking about, because now it's like, yo, if they say we won't put ads on your video because it goes against these terms and conditions of our services, you can go through Patreon and fund your videos through there and just keep the content without getting the ads off YouTube.
Yeah, crowdfunding. But I've got a question. As a person that subscribes to content on Patreon, right? Can you, as a subscriber, make money off of content creators?
Like the person subscribing to the person creating the content?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Unless you worked out a deal with whoever controls the Patreon.
I guess. I mean, because I'm always thinking that like it would probably be really interesting if it became I don't know. I don't even know if it's ethical or if it's right or anything to do. But if it actually became a profitable thing to actually donate a certain amount of money to content creators, and as they're following.
My bad. Let me just interrupt you because we have less than a minute left. Rudy. So we're gonna start a new stream. I don't know if you can hear me, but hold that thought, Collins. We're gonna get back into that in part 2.
All right, what were you saying?
No, you had the thought. Walter, welcome back.
Yeah, welcome. I even forgot. I lost my train of thought completely.
Yeah, no, I hate when that happens.
Yeah.
Well, something about like Patreon. Something about like Patreon.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So I was talking about like it would be interesting if there's a development made by Patreon where subscribers to content can also stand to make money off of content as well. rather than just the content creators. Like almost like a stock exchange or I don't know, betting. I don't even know how you would do it, but like, you know what I'm saying, like in that kind of way.
But why would you let people make money off other people's content?
Well, I don't know. They would. I don't know. I don't exactly know how it would work, right?
I just look at it like, if I were to like make a content, put it out there, like why would somebody else who had no control over it make money off it?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so I don't know how that really works.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the way I'm thinking about it is like, obviously these guys are companies in themselves, right? And we already trade shares in companies, right? But would you be able to, I mean, is it even ethical to trade shares in a human being in that way? Like, will it make them money for us to have shares in their success?
I mean, if you could find a way to like that increases their like net value, like their I don't even know the word to call it, but yeah, I guess they're like income, I guess, yeah. But like, how would you like if I'm with someone investing in it, what do you go off to invest by? Like the amount of views they get, because then now you could fake views, buy numbers. So I don't think investing like people like that is a smart way.
I guess.
Because then there's a lot of trickery that can come with it.
I guess, yeah.
Because when you talk about like what are you talking about, the media or like the music industry, some of those numbers you see, like all the views and stuff, they're like fake or
they're not real.
Yeah,
they're inflated. Yeah.
I mean, then also people could come together to like push out other creators, and it just hurts small creators too.
It hurts what?
I think it would hurt small creators too.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. Yeah, if it becomes too, once you introduce money in that way, then the industry kind of loses a little bit of its integrity.
Well, does it even have integrity to begin with?
Well, I mean, there's still pockets of integrity in it.
Yeah, I'm sure, but that's an individual. As a whole, though, the infrastructure, that's a different story.
So,
and you hear these stories all the time from people in Hollywood.
Yeah, like people getting signed to labels and stuff, and then pretty much, like the whole thing with like this brings me to the idea of like people's masters. Have you guys heard these conversations about like artists demanding their masters back?
Yeah.
From record labels? Like that whole thing is interesting to me now, because obviously, it's the right thing to do. Like if somebody invested a certain amount of time into something and they put in all of the sweat that it required to make that vision come to life, then the people that are just responsible for the exposure shouldn't be able to own all of your life's work. And that's basically what a master's is, right? It's like your art isn't actually yours. It belongs to the record label that you signed a contract with.
Yeah, I think that the masters, like the original recordings of like whatever we hear on like on the radio or like Spotify, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, like with that, I don't know. It's kind of tricky because at the same time, these people did invest money into them, but at a certain point, certain people be able to get their masters. Like, how are you Kanye in the industry for like 10 plus years, all the success he has, and he doesn't have his back?
Yeah, it's crazy. And he even said that he has enough money to pay for him. Really, like he could pay for them.
There was even like what you call it, like a young artist, new artist, like NBA YoungBoy. He put on Twitter that he asked his label, what you call it, I will give you 4 free albums to get my masters for the albums I did back, and they said no.
Wow.
Like meaning like he was gonna record them and make no money off them just to get his masters back, and he was like, nah.
Like I saw, do you guys know JoJo, the artist JoJo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The girl, she sings.
Yeah.
So like she just recently, because I remember she started as an artist quite young, like really young. Like she was maybe what, like 15 maybe, when she was making a lot of her music. And a lot of her songs early on, she didn't make any money from because the record label made all the money. So recently what she did was she got all of the songs and she kind of remixed them. So like like it's slightly different, the instrumentals are slightly different and everything like that, but the song is pretty much the same. She basically covered it. And obviously now she owns those ones and is trying to. So this is how like some artists go about going around the whole masters dispute, by just remaking the song with maybe a different producer or something and re-releasing it. Somebody else did it. Cisco did it with the Thong song.
Yeah, but do these people actually get their masters back after doing that? That's the part I never really understand. If there's two versions of the song, no, so do they get their masters back after doing it? Because now there's like two different versions of the song. Do they get the original masters back too?
No, the purpose of doing it was so that at least you could make money off of the Thong song, even though it's not the original one that came out in 2000 and whatever. You know what I mean? You can still make money off of it without having a masters, because you have the masters to this new version.
But now you have to count on, are those certain people going to listen like the new remix opposed to the original song?
Well, I would say some will and some won't. Like you're still losing out, but you're not losing out as much.
Yeah, I guess so. But then there's an argument from the label side. Like if you look at someone like Cisco, or like maybe not Cisco, but like what's her name, JoJo? She had only like one popular song, and she did release an album, so they put money into it. If you don't recoup the label doesn't recoup the money back they spent, or you don't like generate the money the labels need, do they deserve to give you the masters?
I mean, it depends on how much money. Well, then you have to go into actually calculating how much money did because JoJo wasn't a one-hit wonder. She didn't just only have one song. My sister used to listen to JoJo. She was big. She was huge.
She was big, but she wasn't like extremely popular. She had like a short run. It wasn't like that much songs.
Yeah, she had a short run, but like a lot, like how the songs still sold quite a lot. Like they were like during the, like whether you call her like a one album wonder or a flash in the pan, they still sold quite a lot. So how much did they spend on production that they wouldn't have been able to recoup that amount back?
Well, they don't only spend money on production, right? So they have to spend money on advertising. They have to spend money to get your song on the radio. They have to spend money on tour. Then with females, that comes with like makeup and all the other stuff. So these things get expensive. And then you get to look at the era she came up in. Like the advertising was totally different because it wasn't like social media back then. So it was actual like posters going to actual stores. So that actually adds up.
Yeah. And she couldn't have made that money in sales over 10 years?
Or maybe not. I don't know. Like, but that's what I'm saying. At what point? I mean, yeah, I guess so. Because like then there's other artists on the label too. So I don't know.
I mean, the way I see it is, if you can afford to pay for them, you should be. The label should still be willing to sell your masters to you, because at the end of the day, it is your work that they're selling. Without you, they have nothing to sell.
That's true. But that's why people make the argument you shouldn't even sign to a label in the first place.
Yeah, because I know Maul from the Joe Biden podcast brings this up a lot. Like now, before back then, you have more leverage now because like you can do things like, you know what I'm saying, just getting a fandom from YouTube, you know what I'm saying, getting a fandom from a podcast. As long as you have that fan base or that traction or people that are willing to follow you wherever you go, you have leverage. Yeah, so I think that's the most important thing. Like with obviously we're starting our journey now, but it's just trying to build up our leverage.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It's easier said than done though, because like how long is it going to take you to create this leverage or to get this fan base?
As long as it takes, you know. Obviously, you have to continue. We would have to continue to make content that people want to engage with. Right, and that's a challenge in and of itself. But once it's done, once you're in a position where you can do that, do you then need somebody from the outside offering you X amount of money for?
I mean, you might, but
for a certain
that depends.
stake.
Go ahead.
For a certain stake in your success.
Oh yeah, that you might, but that depends on like your negotiating. What you negotiate, is it like a joint venture, or is it like you're on the label, like you're signed to them, they own some of your stuff, they get royalties, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. But then this is where lawyers come in, right? Like, because a lot of times, like if I read one of these documents that I was supposed to sign, there's no chance that I understand every single word that's inside this document, because I'm not a lawyer, right? I've not passed any of the bar exams or anything, right? So there's a lot of stuff, a lot of words that they may trick me with in these contracts. I sign it. I don't know what I've just signed until 5 years later now, when I want rights to certain things, and all of a sudden somebody tells me, oh, look, the contract that you signed had this in it, and it means that you're not entitled to what you think you're entitled to.
Yeah, but so some of the people did have lawyers when they sign. It just, I don't know, depends how like competent your lawyer is. Is your lawyer tied to the industry? Because sometimes these lawyers be tied to the industry, so it's just like they work exactly. The labels and stuff too.
They'll take advantage of you. Like you have a lawyer, but the lawyer is not yours. The lawyer works for the person who you're negotiating with. And like sometimes that can happen.
Yeah, and it's just easier to sign a paper when they say they're gonna give you all this money that you never had at the exact moment right now.
Yeah, this is where like self-education is so key. Like just actually listening to different experts yourself, and like trying to figure out what's true about certain things, getting second opinions, and that's just stuff that once upon a time we would have never had access to, and now we do. Now we do have access to it.
You have access to it to like a certain extent, but I don't think we still have all the access to it, because even all the people who are complaining about this, they don't have the questions or the answers.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's never going to be a perfect situation, right? There's never going to be a time where we have all of the information we need to make the right decision, right? But we definitely have way more today than we ever have in the past. We have enough today not to make the sort of mistakes that people like us would have made in the past, basically.
Yeah, we have a lot of information.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have a lot of information, but is the information correct?
Well, I think that's up to every individual to discern their sources, second opinions, third opinions, all of it. Like, being thorough. Because yeah, you're right. Like, not everything you see or read is going to be correct, but it has to at least pass your sniff test. And if your sniff test isn't good enough, then you need to work on your sniff test. Basically, you got to work on.
The problem with that, the most of the artists, they're focused on the actual, like the art of the music instead of the business side. And the business side is a complicated thing. You might need to know basic business before you know music industry businesses.
Yeah, I mean it's complicated, but I don't think as an artist in 2020 you can afford that excuse.
I mean, it's easy to say that, but
you might be more focused on the music, and that might be true, but you can't afford it. You can't afford it. You can't afford not to be focused on the other.
But what you call it? When you look at it, almost every person has like the same story. They try to avoid it. Not, there's very few people who stand out and they get what they wanted.
But they do exist. They do exist.
I know, but it's a small amount of people.
I'm not saying it's not difficult to get this knowledge. I'm not saying that it's not challenging. I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
There's a difference. It's necessary. Like how you come about it is, but it is necessary.
Yeah, because let's look back at like the whole Joe situation. Like, I'm saying, so like I don't know, there's different takes on it, but what I got from it is like, all right, they learned how doing long-term deals with these companies turns out. So they took a short-term deal. Spotify got the traction that they wanted, and Joe was saying that they got the information that they wanted. They were looking for information. They were looking to see, like, gauge their audience. One way that they gauged the audience was, when they first moved to Spotify, the first episode that was on Spotify, people were trying to get the site crash. I wouldn't say the site crash, but, like, what I'm saying, I guess the search for that pod, something went wrong. There was a technical malfunction, and what I'm saying. So I guess just based on, like, Joe's history, it may not seem that he's that that popular, but, like, his content is amazing. That's why it's, like, I'm saying, one of the best podcasts. Like, it's even crazy for me to think about it now. Like, I ask people if they listen to Joe Budden podcast, like, it's like a not that popular podcast. Because I know he was kind of viewed in a certain light throughout the industry. So I'm still kind of getting used to myself the guy being as popular as he is. Well, at least his podcast. So yeah, so, like, what I'm saying, having information, knowing that, all right, for a podcast, the only thing you have to do is equip computer mics, and the most important thing is your voice. You're not gonna lose that unless someone steals your voice box, but what I'm saying, that's not gonna happen. So imagine your leverage is your voice. You can take that with you anywhere, and having a platform where you can literally have a podcast where all you need to do is just have a voice, and you can go from place to place. And the good thing about his short-term deal is that even if things did go left, which they did, it was just a short-term deal. They got what they needed. Spotify got what they wanted, and now they can get back on the journey again. They're not stuck in this 5-year or 3-year contract.
No, I hear that. But
you might not be able to always, like, negotiate that short contract. You should always go for it, but maybe you might not be able to negotiate. They might say we don't do short-term contracts. So then at that point, you have to make the decision. Well, we're just going to walk away then.
Yeah, I mean, but yeah, you know what? The willingness to walk away is key, I think. Right? Like, because okay, so say, like, if you're a young person, right, negotiating their first deal. You have dreams of being financially free, and this contract on its face seems to actually be presenting you with the chance to become financially free. But the terms aren't quite right, and you can tell that in some way you can tell that they're not quite right. They're not what you would prefer. You actually have to be willing, even at that point, to go, actually, no, I'm good. I'm going to wait. In fact, what's his name? What's her name? Jada Pinkett was talking about this, like, her first time going to an audition, or getting a call back from an audition or something, or what is it? Like, I think she had to choose whether or not to accept a role that she was being given, right? And it was the first role that she'd ever been offered. And it's not a role that she necessarily wanted to play, but it was on the table. It was money. Like, it's very, very difficult to turn down money at that point. But she goes no, right? Because she understands the type of people that she wants to portray, the type of roles that she wants to be in. And this one just didn't fit. Even though the money was good, it just didn't fit. Didn't fit her criteria. So she was willing to walk away. And that's a tough thing to do when you're young in the business, and only a few people can do that.
No, I definitely hear on that one. But speaking of the whole, the system of how the music business is, it's kind of like a scam, or kind of like a trade-off, or you're going in with, like, the least leverage, because I guess this I heard this before, is they call it a very predatory business, a predatory scouting. Like, you're trying to pick somebody that's young, doesn't know anything about nothing, looking for a come up, and now this person blows up, and then all that music that they made, all those millions that they should be getting paid more, and not even getting paid half as much. But I kind of want to get into the, like, what are some of the scams that if we either be from, like, YouTube or other things that you've seen on street? Like, how do people keep falling into scams over and over again? And these pyramids.
Well, you know what? I just think because everybody kind of like I guess like for young artists, right? There might be like this. There's always this dream, this picture they have in their head of like finally getting there, finally getting pen to paper, like that feeling of signing a new contract, something that you've never done before. You're used to stocking shelves and music is just a hobby or whatever. All of a sudden, there's a chance to make this into a lifestyle. Somebody's offering you that chance. And as soon as somebody offers you the chance, you kind of, it's very difficult, I think, to think about the possibility that you could do what they're saying that they can do for you, that you could do that for yourself. You know what I mean? Like if somebody's actually offering you exposure on a platter, like once upon a time, exposure was actually something that you could sell to a young artist. We don't live in those times anymore, right? Because you can generate your own.
Become a YouTuber now.
Huh?
You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's just like you see some of these like YouTubers, like people that are like famous YouTubers. And it's just, like this guy named DDG, what I'm saying? He was basically like a YouTuber, but now makes music now. I mean, his music bump. I can't lie. But yeah.
Is he independent? DDG?
No, he's not independent.
He's not independent.
No.
He's signed to a label?
Yeah, but he said he got like he claims he has his masters and he has like a joint venture with the label. So,
I mean, I'd believe that only because he made all his clout and stuff is from YouTube.
Yeah, but a lot of time, right? A lot of time, it's like the people who are the financially savvy ones, the people that are actually in the know about how to structure contracts and do all of these stuff, and are often not in the industry. Right, they can't sing. They don't have the talent, and the people that they look for are a commodity to them. They're not actual people. They're a commodity, right? Like they'll call, like if you're an artist or you're a podcaster or anything, you are the talent, right? You're just a part of their business plan, right? So like, there's no way that they're going to give you what you're worth right off the bat unless you negotiate for it. But like, in order for you to negotiate for it, you have to go in kind of knowing what you can do, knowing your value, knowing your worth, and making sure that you can, like, if anything goes wrong between you and the business, that you can actually walk away from that. Like, there's been so many friendships in business that end up like messy because of contracts.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like even Birdman and Lil Wayne. That was a lot of that had to do with how the contracts were written. Right?
Well, yeah, because like Birdman's label was like under a Universal label, and then Lil Wayne was under Birdman's label. But Universal gave him money, to pay out the use for his label, but Birdman didn't give all the money to Wayne, so that was like the main problem. And then he started holding his music back and not letting him release music too.
Exactly.
But that was, I think, it's more like personal than like it was the business, because like they're like little feud. I think it was more personal than business, because like they kind of like came up together. Like Lil Wayne knew Birdman since he was like a kid, and he always wanted to get down with him and stuff like that. Like, Wayne was like, 11 when he first started rapping and signed on Birdman's label?
Yeah.
So, and then to do that to Wayne when like everyone left Cash Money, he was the only one there. And he's been making the most money for the label out of only person probably made more money than Lil Wayne for the label, like Drake and Nicki Minaj, but that's like after the fact that Wayne doing it for 15 years plus.
Yeah, I mean, he launched their careers. He launched these guys' careers. Lil Wayne. He launched Nicki Minaj's career, launched Drake's career, more or less. So,
but they're under the umbrella of what you call that Cash Money Birdman.
Cash Money. Yeah.
So like, why if he did all this by himself, then brought you more people to be the successor, basically, how could you do that to him?
Yeah, but that's the messy thing about business. Like the fact that they're so close and they're in business together means that like when a business relationship breaks down in this case, it can't break down cleanly. Like it has to get personal. Because like, man, we came up together. I've known you since I was 11, and you're gonna do the. But it's business at the end of the day. Like you're dealing with like it's a completely different. It's kind of like I kind of equate it to sports, right? So you could have two athletes that play for rival teams that are friends off the pitch, right? But when they get on the pitch, they wanna kill each other, right? And the good feeling can still exist outside of the pitch. It's very, very different in business, just because obviously business is it's not a game, really. It's not a game that you can just compartmentalize into one area of your brain. It's like the difference between feeding your children and not.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends. Like in business, like there's not always ethics. Where you have ethics, you shouldn't expect other people to have the same thing.
Yeah. Say that loud for the people in the back, my guy.
Nah, but it's just the truth.
No, it is. What I want to divulge is not divulge, but get into is these YouTube scams, the pyramid schemes, the bad name that people throw on Forex with that multi-level marketing. People think Forex is a scam. Ladies and gentlemen, Forex is an exchange market. That is not a scam. An MLM or a system where you have to pay $235 in order to come in and learn how to trade and recruit people. That is a scam. That is a pyramid scheme. And the most annoying part of me is like, I was cool with seeing the Ty Lopez commercials, back in like 2000, like 15, 16, once in a while. But now that every time I try to watch an investment video, there's always a new social media marketer coming through talking about, do you want to change your life? I'm not exactly the same as the last guy, even though I'm going to tell you the exact same thing that he said.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, that's the thing, right? Not every single one of those types of videos are actually scams. Yeah. But the amount of them that are kind of put all of them, like, give them all kind of a bad name. In the sense that, like, I think this is where it just becomes it comes to like understanding what it is, like what it is you actually need as a person. And like if somebody is offering to educate you, right, you have to know what they know ahead of time, I believe. And Gary Vee actually brings this point out quite a lot, where he talks about like you have to provide in order to get people to buy into what you're selling. You have to provide your value up front. You have to give away some of your best stuff for free for a long time, so that people know that you're not a fake, you're not a charlatan, you're not selling them snake oil. That they actually buy into what you're doing. You're actually going to teach. They've seen you be successful, right? They've seen you be successful. And now they want to learn. They're curious to learn some of the tricks. But if you're just some random salesperson on the internet that's just started, doesn't really know what he's doing, you're trying something yourself, and you're using sort of other people's trust in order to try something yourself. That's where it becomes a little bit sticky. Right, but go on.
I'm sorry. Now I was going to get to like, how do you feel about like the courses and like things like they offer? Like they're like, oh, click down on my course to learn such and such. But the thing that guy gets me tight the most is like the promotion of easy money making in volatile markets. That's the most annoying part to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? They have clients making, 10,000, 30,000, 20,000. I'm like, yo.
Yeah, so like what they basically do is like the initial offer is always free. They'll tell you click this free thing to get more information, whatever, right? Right. Then you click it, you go to it. They might say go to this seminar. You go to the seminar. Then they say to get to this next level, get more information, pay this. They keep telling you to pay and pay and pay, and that's how people get caught up in it. Because if you look at the videos, they're always hitting at your emotions. They say, "Yo, I was in your spot too. I didn't make no money. Now I'm making money," and they're sitting on top of a Lamborghini or something like that. And that's how they get people. And then when you're at the seminar, they say, "Yo, this can happen, but you have to work hard." Then they'll bring people who may have done it or may have not. They may be actors or whatever, or part of this scam. They say, "I used to do this, but now I do this and do that." But you have to work hard. So now when people are failing in that, they blame themselves instead of blaming like the people actually scamming them.
And to me, there's a lot of vagueness. I feel like even like you know what I'm saying like seminars and things. I feel like it's a lot of vague. Like I was seeing checking out like a Dan Locke video. There's this guy named Spencer Cornelia. So he tries to analytically figure out whether these YouTube guys or multi-level marketers or these marketers are charlatans or really trustworthy guy. But I was watching the clip that he brought up because he actually has experience of going to some of these seminars. I'd say like half of the videos that he does, I'd say on because I don't think all of it's about the charlatan thing, but I'd say like he's gone to a majority of these guys' seminars. So I'm like, all right, this guy actually has firsthand experience actually going, hungry, wanting to learn something. But I was seeing the clip and it's kind of like, saying a lot of vague stuff. Like it's not really like a process. I'm not saying all of them are, but like some of them, they're kind of vague messages. It's like, oh, you have to want this, you have to manifest this, or oh, you have to in order to.
They're like they're motivational speakers. Right? And they're very a lot of times they're very, very good at it. I think, for example, somebody like Ty Lopez is quite good at that.
Yeah.
Like he's really good at I've never been to a Ty Lopez thing, so I don't really know what's on the other side of it. But like his whole thing, like you watch a video by him, and I have watched a few videos that are like 20 minutes long, sometimes an hour long, and he'll kind of allude to like whatever he's selling, but like he won't give you all the details. So you're watching more and more of it to figure out whether he'll actually tell you what he'll be like, oh, the 5 secrets to unlocking. Oh, you want to know this is and then like he would just like go on this huge tangent about something else, some other thing, some unrelated thing, and then you're just still waiting. Click the link below to see the 3 secrets to this and that, and you're like, oh my god, and you're just sitting there watching and watching and watching. And then eventually, just out of your own curiosity, he hopes, you're just gonna get your credit card out. You know what? He's right. Because he says, I like people who take action. That's what he says. I like people who take action, right? So this is gonna be here for a limited time, right? So I'm gonna shut it down in the next hour.
Got him.
The next hour. So if you want in, this is your only chance. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get in.
Only chance, but I do this commercial every other week.
And you know what? Like, funny enough, I found out that it was, who is it? Is it Rupert Murdoch, right? That's the guy that was behind the huge scams, right?
No, I think it's Bernie Madoff.
Bernie Madoff. Sorry, that's Rupert Murdoch is a media guy. Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, he owns like a News Corp, it's like Fox News and that type of stuff.
Yeah, so Bernie Madoff kind of used that similar like tactic where he would like a lot of rich people kind of fell for his trap, and he would always. So
his was like different because like he was actually like worked in finance, but what he did was like he got enough initial people to say, "Yo, I'll give me some money, I'll get you an investment." And then I'll give it back to you. You'll get your investment real quick. Like he convinced them, right? So then he went to other people, did the same thing. Then the new people he took their money and gave it back to the original people, and it built upon. But then when the financial crash happened, he couldn't like sustain that.
Yeah, no, but like what I'm focusing on is like he didn't even beg too much. He like a lot of the rich people that he would scam. He would like make it like it's so exclusive, like he has such a limited space, right? It's like, oh man, like I really can't do it like that, or he would say something like I have enough people in the fund right now, so I can't really accept. The only way I'd be able to accept you into this fund is if you like. I can only accept around 10 million or 10,000, all right, or something like that. I can only accept around 10,000. I can't do any more. I would love to be able to do more, but I can't do any more. So people would give him $10,000, just like that. They'll just give it to him.
Yeah, but no, that's because what you call his he had a firm that was one of the biggest firms in what you call it, like Wall Street history or whatever. And then also, so that's why he had like a history of like, so he was a credible guy. He just did some bullshit, then got caught up. And it was actually like his sons that like what you call it told the security commission to investigate him.
I mean, was he a credible guy?
No, yeah, he was. He worked in Wall Street. He just started doing some so he was credible. He wasn't like he had no integrity. Like he was a bad person, basically. Because he had the history. That's why people was giving him money. It wasn't like they were just blindly giving him money. They trusted him because of his history.
Yeah, he controlled perception very well. Like he was very good at controlling the perception. So
basically what he did was like a Ponzi scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. But right now time's winding down. So, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you for being on this journey with us. Our road to 100, as we would say. And episode 10 coming in, a week or two? So it's been a cool journey so far. Collins Mugodo and Walter Ogindo. Yeah. Also, our editor, Rudy Aguilar. Shout out to Rudy. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, big time, man.